Welcome to this improv video. I wasn't planning on making another video, and you might be wondering why I'm speaking in English. It's not for any fancy reason. It's because I had a session with a patient who isn't Portuguese, so we were talking in English, and since I'm in the groove, let me just expand on practicing my English. It's always a good thing. And I was thinking about a couple of things between yesterday and today. Some thoughts on how can we become better therapists. And like I said, this is an improv video, so I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think it's important to spread my ideas and my reflections. Maybe it will make sense to someone else. So the obviously my first thought on becoming a better therapist, I think it's in our attitude, our posture towards learning and towards being a psychotherapist. If I'm in a position that I think to myself, well, now I'm an experienced psychotherapy. I know how to deal with depression, anxiety, grief, PTSD. Nah, I'm capable of doing all those things in excellent fashion and very very good and very very effectively. So why? So I'm just at that point, and I think that's a step down towards not evolving as a psychotherapist. If I'm at the point that I acknowledge that I know everything and I'm capable of resolving those questions with all the people and all the different patients that can arrive at my sessions. Well, I think I'm not permitting myself to evolve, to learn more and to learn other things and other ideas and other concepts that can be valuable to my growth as a psychotherapist. So I think that if we adopt a posture of always learning, of always I can learn something different and I can assimilate that information and accommodate assimilation and accommodation, very Piagetian concepts. If I do those things and if I can integrate the new knowledge with the knowledge that I already have, I can then grow as a psychotherapist, as a professional. So the other thing is my other thought. It's about continuous education. I think with the evolution of psychotherapy models and the evolution that research can provide us, the new ways and new forms of doing psychotherapy or new approaches that we can integrate to our way of doing psychotherapy, that can be a valuable asset to our to our performance, so to speak. And in that way, we can be open to to go to workshops, to go to conference, to work on our points, not only the things that we already do proficiently, but also and especially the things that we are not doing in a more efficient way. For instance, if someone hasn't perfected yet, or hasn't or isn't more efficient on building the relationship, then I think that that's a point, that there's a spot, there's a very interesting thing to work on. Because if I know the rest, and if I can do the rest with a good efficacy, the logical step is to work on the things that I'm not too good at. Not that I could suck at it. No, please don't trumble yourself. Don't step on yourself. Oh no, I can't establish the relationship. Of course you can, but probably it's not in the same level that you do other things. So it's better to work on it. And if other approaches can make it grow, and can make that the relationship establishment it could be better, so go for it. Learn that, practice that, and that's available. That's my next point, my next thought, that will be truly be open-minded to integration, and to practice and to train psychotherapy. So I think, and that's my personal opinion, that we are in at a point that integration, it's becoming more and more natural to a lot of psychologists and to a lot of psychotherapists. And that's a good thing, because with integration, we're not stuck in a certain kind of way of thinking, or doing, or really stuck at a specific model. So integration is a good thing, although I think, and that's my opinion, that a lot of people still try to integrate a lot of things with the principle or the psychotherapy models that are more traditional, more classic. For instance, a psychoanalyst or a psychodynamic therapist can integrate things from cognitive therapy, from existential psychotherapy, from Gestalt therapy, but he is integrating things that are okay, well established, but they are classic. There are a lot of things there that exist in the psychotherapy world as a solution-focused approach, has like acceptance and commitment therapy, like compassion-focused therapy, like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, like EMDR. it's not common for a psychoanalyst or a psychodynamic therapist to integrate EMDR practice. So I think that a lot of integrative movements try to integrate some things that are well established, and that's a good thing. But they're not really and truly open for other things that are research based, and there are evidence of their efficacy. For example, more mind-body approaches like hypnosis, like EMDR, like some kind of meditative exercises, some other approaches like, for example, mirroring hands. That's just a couple of examples. And I think that a lot of integrative movements aren't that open to these kinds of approaches or techniques or processes, choose them as you like, and they are research based. So research shows us that they are valid, and there can be effective in certain kind of situations. For example, hypnosis is well established at pain management. So why not do that? So keep an open mind, open yourself to different approaches, and not just train in something different, but also train at the model that you are initially more comfortable with. Don't try to integrate a lot of things before you're not as solid or as competent in your trained psychotherapy model. For instance, my base training, as it were, is in cognitive, as in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So before I can freely integrate other approaches or other ways of thinking, or other techniques or other approaches, I have to be proficient in cognitive behavioral therapy, because if I'm not, I don't have a guiding way of doing psychotherapy. So before integration, or as you integrate things, you have to, or you might solidify your base training, your basic training. Finally, another thing that I would like to reflect upon is not try to do anything that you are not comfortable on doing technically, or as a viewing standpoint. Because I teach hypnosis, I talk to a lot of people, and I see a lot of people doing this thing, that is going to YouTube, watch some hypnosis videos, training videos, demonstration videos, They purchase a lot of online programs, and they purchase a lot of books, and they try to imitate them or replicate them or model a lot of stuff without formal training. And what I mean by formal training is to go to someone who is a certified trainer, or someone that can teach you the right way about an approach or a technique. And in doing that, you also have the opportunity to discuss with someone who has experience, not only in doing that approach, that specific technique or approach or process, but how to utilize it in clinical practice, in research, in the field that you want. For example, in educational, in sports, performance, whatever. So, in that sense, you have the opportunity to speak with someone who has experience, and that person can guide you to a better utilization, not only of the approach, but how to integrate the approach with your previous work, the work that you already do. And those kind of things are not are difficult to pick up in a book or in a video or in a training program, online training program. So, for instance, if you like EMDR, and if you want to utilize EMDR in your clinical practice, go get EMDR training. Reading the books and watching clinical demonstrations by Francine Shapiro or other EMDR therapists are not enough. And a lot of people, psychotherapists and other professionals that aren't psychotherapists, they do this mistake. Please don't do it. If you would like to practice or to utilize a specific approach, get some formal training. Okay, just reading in a book, it's not enough. And if someone asks you specifically for that approach, please be mindful and be moral enough to recognize your limits. Don't do anything that you are not comfortable on doing, or that you are not capable, technically capable of doing, because you are directly responsible for the safety of your patient, for the health of your patient. Because if you do a bad job, if you screw up, a person can get worse, and you have to be mindful of that. So these are my thoughts, not something special, but I felt the need to get them out, to express them, to share them with you. If you think that they are if they make sense to you, well, I'm happy for it. If not, okay, it's your choice, and I respect that. So thank you for listening. Thank you for seeing this video. If you like this specific contact, this specific theme or specific kind of things like psychotherapy or hypnosis, please subscribe, share. Well, if you're not Portuguese, it could be a little difficult because most of my videos are in Portuguese. Sorry, but I'm Portuguese, and a lot of people are Portuguese. For my colleagues are Portuguese therapists, so I tend to not do so much of English videos, and as you can see, English is not my born language, so it's my second language. Sometimes I'm not too proficient in utilizing the English language at its peak, and I have to think in Portuguese, and while thinking in Portuguese I have to think upon the translation into English. So it's difficult for me, or it's not that easy, and besides, I don't have a script, so I'm not reading anything. I think about these thoughts on the go. So please excuse me for the mistakes, especially in speaking in English. So have a nice week. Please keep safe, and I see you next time.